What is the meaning of life? Or is it what makes life meaningful? Are we affected by what we see in our past? Or by what we can't see in our future? Is anxiety or depression the cause? Or are they just the effects? Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud Live. I'm Ricardo Zulueta. I'll be your host. And this show was made possible by Start Day One, which is a nonprofit foundation for mental health and suicide prevention, with a more proactive approach in helping people rather than reactively waiting for mental health issues and suicidal tendencies. So we basically create these videos because we want to be able to change and shift people's perspectives way ahead of time. So we have guests that come on and kind of just share their stories, their knowledge, and things like that. Today, I actually have a very cool guest. Her name is Meaghan, and she's a fitness instructor. And she's all about wellness and mental health and all that stuff. Now she's like really just overall a great person right now. But that wasn't always the case. There was a time she actually questioned her life. She didn't know her sense of purpose, and she was just basically lost. And we just feel that maybe sharing her story will hopefully resonate with some of you guys that are feeling that same way. So I want her to kind of introduce herself instead, but without further ado, here is Meaghan Renee. Hey, what's up, Meaghan? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So I kind of gave people a quick rundown or a quick intro about you. But like I said, I always like, people to hear directly from the guests. So kind of tell people a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Meaghan. Yes, I am a fitness coach, certified, and nutrition coach as well. But honestly, I'm human, and I'm here today to talk to you, not as an expert, not as someone who thinks she knows more. I'm just here to share my story, and hope that someone can hear it and maybe it'll spark something in them to start making a change as well. Um, you know, Fitness to me has become so much more, and we'll go into the reasons why I love fitness so much. But overall, I'm not here to, tell you about mental health. I'm not here to, um, you know, just explain all of that. I'm here to literally just share my story in hopes that someone out there can make a change also.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's exactly what we do here, right? Because that's what inspiration is. It's not forced upon you. It's just really you're exposed to it. That's kind of a big one of the big differences of motivation and inspiration. Inspiration is something you just happen to see, something you read, and then you get inspired by someone's story.
Yeah.
And that's why this is going to be good because we want people to resonate with your story. So let's freaking get to it.
Ooh.
I basically always talk about like our transformation, right? I want people to relate. So let's talk about the good old shitty life. Like
Okay.
where you're coming from, like tell me about, give me a quick story of like, where you are. Just a quick summary, like, how you were feeling, where you were at.
So, just to make it short and sweet, I used to think that I was somebody special. And I thought, in the sense that I was somebody special because no one could understand what I had been through. No one knew my life or what it was like to be me. And growing up was good when I was really, really young, but I had a very broken household. Um, I saw a lot of violence at a young age in the house, a lot of yelling, just your typical dysfunctional family. A lot of drug abuse, alcoholism was happening, and I have a mother wound also. What ended up happening was as I got older, I started becoming more and more aware of what was actually going on around me. My
Yeah.
parents couldn't keep the secrets anymore. Dad isn't just sleeping on the floor, he's passed out drunk.
Right.
Like those things start to come to reality, and you're like, okay,
Right.
so this isn't normal, or is it
Yeah.
normal? So for me, chaos was normal. Like
Yeah.
I I was involved in dance. Obviously, I'm a dancer. My entire life, my mom and dad had me in classes from the age of 2 years old. So from the outside of the household, it seemed like we had it all together, but inside there was a lot of damage going on. And so, um, my parents, I basically ended up having to raise them as I got older, and I started finding out who they were. You know,
Yeah.
and then I have a brother also who I'm not very close with at all. He's been in and out of jail and prison my entire life. So I don't know him like that. And what ended up happening, my mom, we ended up moving to Florida. I was originally born in New York, and we ended up moving to Florida. We don't really know what happened. Maybe my mom has been like this her entire life. And like I said,
Yeah.
I just started noticing things about her. But
Right.
she has a very narcissistic personality disorder. And
Yeah.
so everything I was doing was never good enough. She was constantly in and out of hospitals being diagnosed with a bunch of different disorders. And at first, you believe it. At first, you're like, this is real. My
Yeah.
mom's sick. And that weighs heavy on you as a child. You're like, oh my God, I have to do everything for them. I was cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, everything at a very young age. And
Yeah.
so what ended up happening was, was this real or was it fake? Like,
Yeah.
doctors started saying, like, listen, this isn't what's wrong with you. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's, but ended up being undiagnosed with it. But so was she
Yeah.
actually being diagnosed? We weren't allowed to go into doctors' offices with her after a while, and this is still
Yeah.
ongoing. um
Yeah.
but so anyways, when I was at that young vulnerable age of 17 years old, and everyone
Yeah.
else is worrying about prom, I was
Yeah.
worrying about, getting my mom her hospital bag packed. And,
Yeah.
am I gonna, she wasn't thinking about me at all. I was she was living her life through me. And that's what covert narcissists do. Um, and
Yeah.
like I said, nothing was ever good enough. I constantly had to be at her hands and feet. Um, and I wasn't able to focus on the things I needed to focus on. So, how would someone who's at a vulnerable age like that um, move to a new state with no real connection, no family, no close friends, react?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to escape my reality. And so I just partied,
Yeah.
and I built a bunch of, false relationships around me. And I never felt good enough, and my self esteem was very low. So I threw myself people pleasing and
Yeah.
trying to be something I wasn't. I almost considered myself like a chameleon in a way, like just trying to blend in with everyone, um,
Right.
to just be accepted. I just wanted to be accepted and liked. And I never felt like I belonged ever. Like,
Yeah.
even though someone was telling me that they loved me and that, like, they had my back, I didn't believe it. And so I just got caught in this spiral of just spiraling out of control. But like I said, I was
Yeah.
used to chaos. That was normal to me.
Right. Right. It's supposed to
So
happen.
exactly, like, I'm like, what do you guys mean? And to someone who maybe, grew up entirely different, didn't have that dysfunction in a family, to them, they're like, why is she acting so crazy? Why does she do the things that she's doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
But to me, I'm like, how am I supposed to act? Like,
Right. This is what
and
I know.
exactly. And that's what I was born into. And that's so when I started realizing that it wasn't normal was when I would go to my dance classes and hang out with my dance friends. And they had that strong family unit.
Yeah.
I can't talk. Unit. And like, you know what I mean? And And it was just different. It felt different. The way they talked to each other was different. The way they show love to
Yeah.
each other was different. The way that the mom and daughter interacted was different. And I was like, And I was like, that's not how it is for me at home. And
Yeah.
so I obviously was in therapy, and I had a lot of therapy, lots of years of therapy. And
Yeah.
I, my psychologist ended up telling me that I needed to get out of the house. That if I stayed in the house with my mom, that I was going to end up on the streets dead. That was my
Wow.
future.
That's a slap right there.
That's
That
really
really
big.
makes
I was
you,
17
yeah.
hearing that.
And at that point where you were like, what do you mean? Did you like not notice it, or were you like, yeah, I guess you're right?
I mean, me and my mom did not have, we just could never,
Just clashed, huh?
yeah, all the time. And it was just because I couldn't live my own life.
Hmm.
I had to do what she was saying and everything, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, so when he said that, I saw my future flash before my eyes. Like, I
Yeah.
really did. And I sat there and I was like, well, this guy is a professional. Like,
Yeah.
he knows what he's talking about. Like, maybe I
Right.
should really listen to him. Maybe it would be a good idea to get out of the house. So
Right.
I went off to college.
Yeah.
I went off to Orlando, about a 2-hour drive from home, got myself an apartment, everything. And that's when transformation really and change really started happening in my life. Not that I was trying to like consciously change,
Yeah.
it was just eye opening for me to see like different relationships around me, functioning relationships, dysfunctioning relationships, like being out there on my own. I did a
Right.
lot of
Like
partying
finally.
still. Yeah. But I was
Yeah.
still really, really partying. Um, you know, just experimental with all different drugs and just escaping my reality because I was hurt. I was hurt
Yeah.
inside and I was attached to this pain.
Hmm.
And I started questioning my life. Like, is this all that life has to offer me?
Yeah.
And now when I look back on that, I can say that I made life a burden for myself by asking that question. But
Yeah.
at that time, I saw, I'm only 21 years old. Like, I still have my whole life ahead of me. And I'm always waiting for the ball to drop. I'm always waiting for
Yeah.
the next thing to come my way. I just
Hmm.
was in so much pain. I just didn't want to go on anymore, like,
Yeah. And that's what's tough. Like I've told people before, anyone that gets into drug addiction or robs houses or becomes a bully, it was not done on purpose.
mhm.
No one plans on being a drug addict, not
No.
on purpose, And so when you look at them like, oh, what a scumbag, what are this? Like, do you really believe that they said, you know what? I'm going to be a drug addict. I'd love to just, I'd love to lose my teeth in front of people because that's just my plan. And people don't necessarily mean to be that way, even just being mean to you. A lot of times I've told people, like, sometimes pain is distracting. It's kind of
Mm,
like this. Imagine having like a toothache, right? And when you have a toothache, everything's annoying. Can you please shut the freaking window or shut the door? Like because you're just annoyed. Not because you're a mean person or you're a bad person. It's just that you have this pain that's distracting you and you didn't mean to yell at someone, but it's really distracting and it's really going to bug you out. But what I tell people that was in your scenario, and I'm glad you admit to it, is that the problem I have is I get that you have unbearable pain, and that's why people get into drug addiction to kind of numb the pain. That's why you party to numb that pain because it's less painful when you're doing that. And I
mhm,
get that. But the problem is with your toothache, it's you with a hammer going like this.
mhm.
And it's like, stop.
Stop.
Stop. Like, because no one's hurting you. You're out in college. There's no mom there. There's no one there. There's no one. There was no one to blame. But you're still trying to blame someone else, even though not any of it is around you. But well, that's why I'm like this, because of the past, of this, of that. And it's like, no, that it's already in the past. You're doing this to you. You're kicking your own ass. And it's a hard thing to get out of that mindset unless you become aware and really stop yourself. And it's kind of like when you feel lost, like you said, you just don't have any purpose. You don't know what the hell to do. And a lot of people tend to, it's like getting lost in a car. They tend to put their car in park and then just stay in the middle of a highway. Like, I'm lost.
Stay stuck.
Where are you going? You really have to take the time and go, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? So anyway, we're still not even at that part yet. You're still in that bad mindset. You're actually still just trying to figure it out because you were so consumed with this different type of reality that you didn't realize, oh, it's kind of like how people don't realize what love is until they get it or they feel it. And
exactly.
Like, oh, that's what this is. All of a sudden you turn into the Grinch, like, I can feel, you're like, oh my God.
That's exactly what it feels like.
And then the heart comes out.
Like, oh my God, I have a heart. I'm not a culprit. Like,
right. So it is okay to love people. That doesn't hurt so bad. It's weird at first.
My thing that I've learned, like being in my mindset I have now and seeing life from my perspective now, is we attach ourselves to our pain. We wear it on our sleeve and we use it as our identity. This is who I am. This is what I've been through.
Only when you're in a bad mindset.
Yeah.
That's the only time. The way I tell people is basically, and we do it. I do it also. That's why I always say it's just human nature, guys. It's not abnormal. It's just that you got to get yourself out of it. When we're in a bad mindset, we tend to hate accountability and love excuses. Doesn't matter who the hell you are. When you get in that mindset, it's not your fault. It's always someone else to blame. Until all of a sudden you're in a good mindset and you go, oh, I guess everything happens for a reason. Like, now it's okay. But only when you're in a good mindset or you're in a good place. Because you never say that when you're in a bad place 10 years later. Well, I guess that was supposed to happen. That's why I'm homeless. No one ever says it, ever. And no one says it to someone else unless they assume you're going to be in a good place. Like, oh, you guys broke up. Everything happens for a reason. You're under the assumption that I'm going to be all right, though. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense. What really they're trying to say is, hey, Meaghan, find the reasons to make things happen. That's more consistent. I know you're going through some pain right now. I know you're going through some bullshit. It sucks. But find the reasons now to make things happen. Learn from everything you just experienced and make shit happen. But knowing where you're going is very important. So let's see, you're in college phase, you're partying and stuff like that. Did it go up or down from there? Where are we at?
It went
or
are
we still in
down.
a roller coaster?
Oh, I went very, very down. I had 2 DUIs that I ended up getting in college. The first one, I was parked at a 7-Eleven eating a hot dog. And the other one, I actually hydroplaned my tires. I wasn't taking care of my car. My car hydroplaned, and I could have actually. It was life flashed before me on that one for sure. It was not okay. But yes, I had the 2 DUIs. I had to do a mandatory 10 days of jail time for that, and I cried the entire time. I got out and I was good for a few weeks, and then I just fell into this like really deep depression of shame and regret, and like, this is my life, like, what am I doing? And I just continued partying. It still didn't click for me yet. I just fell deeper after that. And during that time too, I was of getting drunk, I put myself in really bad situations. And, I had been taken advantage of at parties, sleeping, passed out. And I had actually overdosed. And that overdose was interesting to me. And that had
Mm.
actually happened in high school. But you
Yeah.
brought up a really great point of how
Mm.
people perceive, um, people that are partying or drug addicts or lost. And,
Mm.
it's like, oh, well, it's, they feel like, I don't know, like we're these evil people, like we set out to do this.
Right.
And
She
it
did this to
actually,
herself, you know?
yeah, like it actually brings me back to when I was in high school and I overdosed and I was on the dance competition team. And my dance teacher at the time couldn't like allow me back on to the team without everyone else's approval, which
Yeah.
I thought was a terrible choice on her decision now that I'm older, but I was very young
Yeah.
at that time. And she ended up, allowing that. We got a few yeses, like, of course, it would be great for her. And then I
Yeah.
had this one woman that I will never forget wrote an email telling my mom, who read it to
Mm.
me, that I was the devil.
Oh.
At 16 years old, I'm being told that I'm the devil.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And this is a teacher.
No, that wasn't the teacher. That was just a mom on.
Oh, it was a mom.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
who had her
Wow.
daughter on the team and was like, I don't
Yeah.
want my daughter around her. She's a terrible influence, a terrible person. She's going to hell. Like literally wrote this in an email and I read it at 16.
Wow.
What do you think I'm thinking about myself now?
Exactly.
At that
Right.
age.
And you know what's funny? And that's what always ends up happening, right? Look what everyone's talking, saying about the millennials, Gen Z. They're lazy, spoiled. They're what's the biggest word that they always say? That they feel entitled, and it's just like, yeah, that's not their fault. You might want to talk to the parents about that. You might want to
Yeah.
figure that out because we're just like puppies, right? A pit bull doesn't bite everybody, but that's what people assume. Only because most of the peoples that been on the news and stuff like that is the ones in the ring fighting and all that stuff. But they're around babies and very docile dogs, actually. And I always tell people, it's like, do you think they're bad just because they're breed? Or is it because they were trained that way? Because why is that pit bull awesome to that baby? Like your argument sucks right now. So you need to figure that out. So, but a lot of kids don't realize is, when they actually, that's the first step when they start realizing, like, oh, I am who I am because of how I grew up. It doesn't matter how much you love your parents or hate them. You always get something from them. Doesn't matter what you do, man. You gotta
Exactly.
get something from them, right? And the thing I tell them that helps them understand a little bit better is like, so do you know that your parents were puppies too, right? So I don't know what happened to them. You know what happened to you, but don't assume that they're just that way to be that way. Like
Hmm.
they didn't just go, I can't wait to be bad to Meaghan. They just didn't
Oh, that
know.
I
They're
think that
learning
was
too.
the yeah, that was the biggest realization for me. And I think the last time I saw you, I was in a place where, I was still blaming my
Yeah.
parents for like how I was. But
Mhm.
honestly, like I had a realization that like especially now that I'm a mom,
Yeah.
like we are just grown children. Like at the end of the day,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like
Really. Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
no idea what is going on. Like
That's right.
overnight, I became a mother, and I'm
Uh,
responsible for another life now. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And
Right.
understanding that puts everything into completely different perspective. Um,
Yeah.
so, so
And
yeah,
that's
I ended up, going down, like
yeah.
just, and I got to a point where I hit rock bottom, and I woke up one morning and was ready to just throw everything out of my room onto
Yeah.
the lawn. I threw my hands up in the air and I was like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Is this life? Like, is this what you're making life right now? Is this really how you want to live your life?
Mhm.
And I said to myself, gave myself two options. I was either going to move to Costa Rica, start over, live in a little shack, start
Right.
surfing, teach a little
Right.
dance school, like that. Those
Yeah.
were my thoughts.
Right.
Or I'm going to do the complete opposite and move to New York City.
Okay.
Like
Wow, those
what?
are completely different.
Those are,
From Costa Rica beach life to minimal
yeah.
to one of the fastest
And
paced.
exactly. And going to New York City, I was like, if I'm going to find out who I am, New York City is
Yeah.
the best place to go for me. I had no
Yeah.
license at the time either. How can I live my life without having to depend on other people to drive me around? I
Yeah.
had my license suspended for 5 years. I was like, New York City, I can live there and not have to worry about a car. I can live my
Yeah.
life. Right.
Yeah.
So that was my last hoorah. That was my go. That was my, I'm
That's the
giving
one.
life this last shot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
I went with it. And I called my aunt who lived up here in New York, and I was like, "Can you buy me a ticket?" I explained to her how low I was, where I was at, and I was like, "Can you get me a
Yeah.
ticket, an airplane ticket, a one-way ticket? I
Zodi,
will."
stop.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
like, "I." Oh, sorry.
No, Zodi, my dog.
But yeah, I was like, "Buy me a one-way ticket. When I get there, I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. Like I don't expect any handouts or anything." And I did. And that was the beginning of real change for me,
Yeah.
where that transformation, I was consciously making the efforts to change my perspective, to change my mindset, to change my life.
Yeah.
And from that moment, things went, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this. It was riding. And then I finally gave up drinking. I am 3 years sober now.
Mhm.
Nothing. Um, that is the decision that I made for my life
Yeah.
because, well, there was a time that I didn't like who I was, so I drank.
Yeah.
But now, after working on myself, I love who I am. I love who I am sober. I don't
Yeah.
like who I am when I drink now.
And
Funny it.
yeah, and one of the biggest things, and I tell people, it's like, a lot of times, people end up thinking it's the alcohol itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, so you avoid it. But what really happens is because something shifted your perspective and you said, all right, what's going on? There's got to be something I could do, this, that. Accountability came into play. You're like, I got to do something about this. A lot of people think you have to find your purpose, find yourself. You don't. You actually create it, right? You create your
Exactly.
purpose. You create yourself. It always starts with a decision. And that's the biggest thing about our brand that we talk about, right? Our clothing apparel is everything starts with a decision. And that's actually why we called our nonprofit Start Day One. It starts with day one. It's not going to get fixed on day one. Day one
Mm-mm.
means there's a day two, a day
Mm-hmm.
three, a day four. But no matter what, it has to start with day one. You have to make that decision. You have to be accountable. You have to make it happen, basically. But in order to do that, you have to really sit down and create yourself. And the only time that's going to happen is after the decision, not before. A lot of people think you need all the solutions of your life. Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? Then I'll move to New York. Like, no, you move to New
So,
York and go,
what
okay,
do I
what do
do
I do?
now?
I need a job. I need transportation. I need I need this. And basically, the only way you can do that is by knowing where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know where you're going, you almost end up focusing automatically on the path of things rather than the obstacles of things. Alcohol becomes now a deterrent because, like, I can't accomplish who I want to be with this in my life. So you automatically kind of go, instead of with your mindset, you're not one of those people that went, oh my God, 5 days sober, 6 days, now it's 7, now it's 8. And you're just counting every day. And it's just like, well, you're still blaming the
You
alcohol
know
too much.
about that actually too.
Yeah.
I don't say anything against AA. It works for some people.
Yeah.
Um, it did not work for me. Actually, I had felt that it kept reminding me and giving me an identity of someone that
Yeah.
was less than everyone else. It
Yeah.
kept reminding me that I'm not normal. It kept,
Right.
and
That's a
that
great point.
actually, it made me feel
Great point.
indifferent.
That's such a
And
great point. Yeah, I agree. Instead of you thinking you're bettering yourself, you're almost feeling lower already. And that's what most of them feel. You can tell, like, oh, been just by saying been sober, it's almost like, oh, the hell's wrong with you? you know? But you're more like, I haven't drank. I don't look for it. I don't,
yeah,
but the
I'm just
ones that
not
go,
drinking.
I
Yeah.
haven't drank in like, I don't know,
But
two
that's all up
minutes.
here. Yeah, it's all up here.
That's
It's we attach ourselves to an identity. And
exactly.
that's what it felt like for me, was that when the first thing you say is I'm Megan and I'm an alcoholic. Like,
Yeah.
I it's attaching that to
An
me as a
identity, yeah.
person.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't like that feeling, because when I would try to engage and be normal at social gatherings, if there was alcohol, I mean, I'm not against alcohol by any means. It's just not a
Right.
choice for me in my life, you
Right.
know?
It's in
Um,
your way. It's
so
an obstacle.
exactly. So when I always felt weird when people would say, like, people do get weird. Like, I don't know why. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, you don't drink? Like, what? Like, like, I don't know. That's how it feels sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. It is like
You're the
that.
devil.
Yeah, like now I'm the devil in a different way.
Again. The
But
older version.
exactly. But yeah, I didn't feel confident saying no, because I
Yeah.
felt like there was something wrong with me, and oh, now this person's gonna know something's wrong with me. Now when I'm like, I just don't drink.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, you
don't
don't
drink.
look for it, you don't miss it. And that's the thing, it's like when you focus on your path of who you're trying to become, it's automatic. But what they do, so I tell this story all the time. Like when I went snowboarding, this is how I kind of learned the power of like perspective. I would go snowboarding and I would just fall in the glades, in the trees, and I would go, side to side, and all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, I hit a tree. Like, ah, damn it! I get up again, 1, 2, 3, tree, and I'm like, oh my god! My friends in the meantime are just cruising through this glades like nothing, and even doing jumps, and I'm like, dude, you guys are nuts! How are you guys going so fast? So finally, I was on the ground, and my buddy sprays me a little bit and says, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but how do you guys do that? Like, it's crazy." This is what he tells me. He goes, "Dude, stop looking at the trees. Look at the path between the trees." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"So it's not the 15 years of Oregon trails, huh? It's because I'm looking at the trees. Of course it is." So he leaves. I have no freaking choice. Well, I'm sucking in here like it sucks. I'm like every freaking third tree I'm falling. So I finally give it a try. I'm like, yeah, why not? Don't look at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm like, and I purposely stopped. And I was like, what the hell just happened there? That was insane, because my skill level didn't freaking advance that quickly. The weather didn't change, and the trees sure as hell didn't move. So how the hell did I just do that? And that's the
Right.
power of perspective, because basically once you look at your path, everything else becomes this. You don't. Basically the trees is your alcohol. They become invisible because you're so focused on what you want to get done that I'm like, dude, I don't have time right now. I can't drink. I'm going to be wasted. I'm going to feel like shit tomorrow. I don't feel like doing that. So I'm not going to do it. And so it automatically does. So, and that's what people tend to do. And the thing is, you need to have a path. Well, to have a path, you need to know where you're trying to go. So to know where you're trying to go, well, that takes effort. You have to sit down,
Hmm.
kind of like when you're in a car. What does your GPS say? Your phone's out of battery? Ask for directions. That means look for mentors, look for someone that knows where you're going, how to get there. And all of that comes naturally because you know where to go. People are so consumed with the past and the whole identity, like you mentioned. I'm kind of glad that you kind of mentioned that. because you identify yourself based on everything you've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This was my parents. This is my childhood. I guess this is
And
how
you
I'm going to
hold
be.
on to it and you wear
Right.
it. Yeah,
Right. And people don't understand, like, no, if you told me who you're trying to be, your life completely changes. Like, completely
exactly.
changes. Like, oh, I was a porn star. Okay. But if you told me, like, yeah, I'm actually trying to be a doctor, so I'm going to medical school right now. Uh, that's a completely different world. And it's not that
Mm-hmm.
they're a doctor. They're going to medical school, but they're just doing, they're, waiting tables right now. But I don't see him as a waitress. I see him as like, oh, wow, that's what you're aspiring to become. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a very different thing. What actually shifted your mindset or your perspective that made you go, all right, I got to change something here, New York or Costa? Like, what even made you do that?
You know, like I started really thinking about what life was when I started asking the question of why life,
Hmm.
and I felt like I attached a burden to it. I started asking myself that question for a series of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is life? Like, is this what life is?
Mm-hmm.
And in sharing my experiences with other people and sitting back and stopping talking about myself, the puppies, and sitting back and stopping talking about myself and listening to other people's experiences and really listening to them, and you can feel their emotion, you can feel their pain, you can feel where they've been. I started to realize I'm not that special. It's not just me who is feeling this way. Actually, there are millions of people out there feeling exactly
That's
how
right.
I feel right now.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that feeling of indifference actually connected me. And it was no longer a feeling of indifference anymore because I knew that there were people experiencing, if not worse or better situations, but still feeling that pain.
Yeah.
And I saw other people that had been through some serious stuff in their life go on to be successful and
Mm-hmm.
carrying themselves like that past doesn't bother me anymore. This is where
Yeah.
I am. And when I started
Right.
surrounding myself with people like that, that's when I really started having that perspective change also in getting out of my own head and getting out of my own crap and
Yeah.
putting myself out there in front of other people and trying to hear other people out. I mean, like, you know, a mind shift doesn't just happen, like we said. So a series of events had happened over
Yeah.
years that kept like little light bulbs going off in my head that
Mm-hmm.
kept telling me, like random people when I was talking with them, they would say something that would spark something in me, and I'd go, maybe they're right. You
Yeah.
know.
And it works in both sides, though. So
Hmm.
one of the things I tell people, like, you have to be proactive in prevention. A
Hmm.
lot of organizations, they say they're suicide prevention, but they're more suicide reaction. They only do something after a suicide happens, right? Oh,
Exactly.
what can I do for you? Or, we really have to teach everyone to look for symptoms. And it's just like, why are you waiting for the symptoms? Like, why? Don't you just want to kind of like, if it's in fitness,
Exactly.
you
I was
don't
just
you
gonna
don't
say that.
wait you don't wait until you're 500 pounds. Like, the best time to go to the gym is today, not even tomorrow, not even when you're in your best.
Prevention. Exactly.
Yeah, when you're in the best shape of your life, today is still the best day to go, not next
Hmm.
week, like always. So it's like, why are we waiting for mental health that way, though? Oh, I don't see Megan's smiling, she seems happy. We're good, she doesn't need a hug today. Oh, wait, when you don't come out of your room, then by that time, it's like, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, the reason I'm saying this, because you were mentioning all those things, like, so inspiration to me, again, it's exposure. It's just
Hmm.
exposure. Inspiration to me is what shifts your mindset. Trauma shifts it the
The
other way.
yes. Hmm.
And so it works both ways. Oh, what a loser. Oh my God, she's the devil. Those are the other ones. So what's funny about being proactive, when you're proactive, it's great for prevention, but proactiveness is also great for prediction. I can freaking predict that if you exercise every day, I know you're going to hate it, but you're trying to lose 20 pounds, just keep doing this every day. Just keep doing it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna guarantee you results, man. Like I'm gonna guarantee it. Like because most likely you should lose this if you keep doing it this way. You know, same thing with mental health. It's like I'm pretty sure if I called you a loser from 5 years old all the way to 18 years old, and every single day I told you that and made you feel that way and guilty and everything else that I need to make you to feel like crap, you're going to have mental health issues and therapy. That's just
Mm-hmm.
the way it is. But if I love you up and this and that, and I made sure and I gave you discipline and I taught you how to live life on your own, but you may hate me now, but I'm pretty sure when you're out of here, you're going to go, dude, best parents ever. Best parents ever. So it's like, that's what you do. You have to be proactive
Mm-hmm.
in both ways. So it both works both sides. Inspiration helps shifts your perspective one way, but the trauma. But it's like no matter what, it becomes that choice. I'm glad you decided to listen to that other side and said,
Well, that's
"Whoa,
what I mean. It's like our thoughts are so powerful. Our brain is so powerful. And, getting into fitness for me, like, is like a form of therapy. Um,
yeah,
3 years sober now, and instead of destroying my body, I'm all about taking care of it now. I'm the complete
yeah,
opposite. And, I don't really think you can overdo being healthy. Like, I
yeah,
mean, if you're following like a regular a regular lifestyle, you know what I mean? Not doing these
mhm,
crazy diets that are out there, but when you're learning to live like just a natural healthy life where you don't have restrictions or anything, and you can just simply enjoy
yeah,
every movement, foods, and have an inner peace. And
yeah,
so the thing I love about fitness as like a therapy is because there's this book, Winning, by Tim Grover, and it's a new book that he just released. And I love this book. And he says in it, it's kind of like working out. When we're working out, we're actually breaking down the muscles and we're putting tears in it, we're damaging it. And then we need nutrition to help us recover, and it builds it back up, and it builds it back up stronger. It's the
yeah,
same thing that when life happens to us, in an instant, something breaks us, it changes us, and we're changed
yeah,
forever. And
yeah,
we can't go back to who we were before that.
yeah,
Not that that's a terrible thing. It we can be rebuilt if we're giving ourselves the right things, the right fuel
mhm.
to rebuild
That's
ourselves.
right.
We come back
That's
stronger.
right. That's right.
And like there's just so much to fitness that I love about that, and that's why I've chosen to go down this path. I created this out of nothing. I just said, I want to help other people. um I
Yes.
love
Glad you
I
said
love
that.
physical, physical being active and health. That's
Yeah.
everything to me. And when I started implementing this healthy lifestyle change into my own life,
Yeah.
other areas of my life tenfold started uh, getting better as well. I had more energy to be a better mother. I
Mhm.
was less stressed. Just so many amazing things started happening to it. And yeah, I worked out before in my life. I was focused on trying to lose weight and the aesthetics of it all. Oh, I have to look like this person in the magazine. I have to look like this person. I wasn't even close to that goal because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was focused on. I couldn't be consistent with what I was trying to focus on or anything.
Yeah.
So when I started doing it because I know that it's good for me, because I know that my body needs it,
Right.
that's when a shift happened for me too, in
Yeah.
being able to take care of my body and everything all the time,
Yeah.
and not have it be like a, oh my god, I don't want to do this today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that I love about the fitness stuff, um, I relate it a lot with mental health almost all the time. A lot of people for mental health, for example, um, let's talk about the physical. There's diet and exercise. Almost everyone knows to be healthy, diet and exercise. Like everyone
Mm-hmm.
knows this. Um, but yet some people are just not healthy. How is that possible when they know? Same thing with mental health. Everyone knows life is short. Don't worry about the small things. Oh, they all know that. I know. But what is happening that makes them not do it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's really a lot of things. And same thing with when you're not exercising, you get lazier. When you're lazier, you eat more. And when you eat more, you get lazier. And then it just keeps on going, this one big
Downhill.
circle
Mm-hmm.
until you go and reverse the whole thing. And then all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
you exercise, you actually eat less. You would think you should eat more when you exercise, but you actually end up eating less because
Do
you're like,
more
I
of
don't
the
want to
right
run.
things.
I don't want
Yeah.
to run with that in my stomach. So you kind of just automatically, you don't go like, oh, I better not. It's just like, well, if I'm going to work out, you know what? I'm going to eat afterwards. Let me work out first, and then I'll eat after. By the time you work out, you're like, I'm not really that hungry. I guess I'll just eat this. Oh. And then you're done. But I always relate that, it's just like, stop waiting. And at the same time, you know how I mentioned there's diet and exercise. And to me, with the mental health, there's a diet and exercise there also. Exercises are yoga, meditation, things like that. But if your diet of your mind, what it's intaking, basically, it's your perspectives of the world. If you're not fixing that, and I know in physical health, diet is like 80%, exercise is just 20% of your healthiness. So I feel it's kind of the same thing with mental health, like, because you can do all these great exercises, but if you still have a different negative, bad mindset, negative perspective, you'll have to do those exercises so much more and never get results. It's almost like doing your exercises, but he's still eating McDonald's every single day, smoking cigarettes, like, and just being completely unhealthy. It's like, yeah, that you're not getting healthy. You're doing this move,
Exactly. It's still the daily actions, the daily habits. Yeah. It's
Right,
I,
right.
it's funny that I've been studying a lot, reading a lot of books about health and fitness, and especially
Yeah,
the effects of fitness on the brain and mental health.
yeah.
And a lot of us tend to think that the mind and body are separate, that they are
Oh,
two
yeah.
separate entities, but it's actually it believe it or not, it's all the same. It's all the same
Yeah,
system, called different
that's right.
things, different
That's
systems,
right.
but it's all in alignment. And so
Mhm.
the foods that we are eating, if we're not getting, yeah, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, uh,
Yeah,
your omega 3s, those things are so important. They're not sexy to talk about. No one wants to talk about, hey, you took your omega 3s today. Like, no
all
one's
right,
talking about that,
right.
but that is super important to our foundational health, right? And that's what I'm so big on, is that foundational health, because if we don't have a strong foundation, it's like building a house. Your body
Yeah,
is your home at the end of the
yeah,
day. It has to last
yeah,
you a lifetime. What we're feeding our brains, what we're feeding our bodies is our reality. That's our
yeah.
reality.
That's
And
right.
if we want to change that, we have to start taking action and changing those daily steps,
Right.
action steps to help support those new habits and new changes that we're trying to bring in. And
Yeah.
so Americans, I know for a fact, are heavily lacking in the diet these days because we have all of
Mhm.
these processed foods and quick go, 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 fast food.
Yeah.
It's not that these are bad or good foods. There are no bad or good foods. Um,
Mhm.
the thing is, what is that food? I don't even like to call it food, but
Yeah. Right.
but what is it actually doing for you? What is the
Right.
nourishment that you're getting from that? Is it fueling your body? No,
Right.
you're curbing your hunger. That's technically what it's doing, is just curbing your hunger. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. why are you still hungry 20 minutes later after you just scarfed down a cheeseburger and fries from McDonald's?
Right.
Because you didn't give your body what it
The
actually
nutrient.
wanted. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? Which it
Yeah.
wanted real
Yeah.
food, protein,
That's right.
carbs,
That's right.
fats,
Right. And
you
that's the
know?
intake. And the same thing with your mental health. It's like, well,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter what you do if you still believe that you need daddy to pat you on your back to feel worthy. Well, it doesn't matter how many exercises you do until you change that. Like, if that's your
Exactly.
intake every time, and all you think your perspectives are always, well, this is why this is happening to me because I deserve to be punished. Like, I grew up like a bad, and I was a bad kid. So, and it's like, whoa, whoa, you need to change that perspective. And it's that shift all of a sudden because our decisions follow our perspectives, and that's why I'm very adamant we're talking about. But the one thing I want to bring back, because you said like you love helping people and this and that, and a lot of times when I say to people is where it stems from. So I figure out, okay, if we're all about making the decisions, that's where it really starts, right? We have to figure out what creates those decisions. So the perspectives. But perspectives are always there, you know it. But how do you help whether a perspective is a threat or a benefit? So it has to be related to something else. And it boils down to your purpose, your why. Like you said before, you help people. And that's kind of an example of your purpose. A lot of people just don't know how to create a purpose. You guys got to notice I said create a purpose, not find. Like, she didn't find her purpose. Like,
Mm-mm.
Meaghan just decided to create it and said, oh, this is what I want to do. And you just have to try different things. But the two things people don't know about purpose is that, one, it must be a verb. It can't be a noun. It can't be, I want to be a great fitness instructor. Okay, you're a fitness instructor. Now what? It ends. It's finite.
That's an
I want to be,
identity. Yeah.
yeah, and I want to be rich. Okay, that's a noun. Okay, I want to own a mansion. Okay, now that you own a mansion, now what? And it always ends. That's why, like, I want to be a rock star. That's why rock stars are suicidal. Like, why did it end? They lost their sense of purpose. That's what happens. And so it has to be a verb. And the verb basically has to be something that's going to be beneficial or adds value to other people, not
Mm-hmm.
yourself. The second you can focus on yourself, that's what gets you depressed. You compare
Mm-hmm.
people, what people think. I'm a loser. I didn't come out to be. And I always tell people, you know what I tell people? I'm like, do you care what your good friends do for a living? Like, if they were like just doing something else, they're just, I don't know, garbage man or janitor, whatever it is. Or if they were you, would you be like, oh, poor guy? And would you think night and day about them? Like, you really don't care as long as they're nice people and you'll actually keep hanging out with them. Like, you actually don't care. But we
Exactly.
tend to think everyone does that with us. Like, oh my God, Megan, what is she doing? Is she trying to be a fitness instructor? Like, they don't care. They're just good.
Yeah.
No, she's being a fitness instructor. And because of your consistency, and I saw it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this girl went for it. Like, no, good for you. I remember seeing you. I mean, you can tell. I mean, I was in the same place. That awkwardness of filming yourself. This is odd. You feel like, all right, I don't think I'm somebody, but this is the only way I'm going to do it if I want to be this person.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up doing it, as awkward as it is. Like, even this, just moments before this, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm getting the jitters."
Do my jitter dance.
Right. And so I'm just like, yeah, you always go through that. But it's really your sense of purpose. So it has to be beneficial to other people. Basically, it comes down to, like, how the fuck can you help people? That's where you start your purpose. And then you just say, to help people. In what way? To help people to live a better life through fitness and health. Like, and that's what she did. And every day becomes just, as long as you have some kind of progress in it, just makes you feel happier. That's your sense of purpose. And people don't
Living.
understand that. People think,
Sure.
what's my purpose? Who should I be? Like, or who am I? They say. It's like, well, who are you trying to be? Who you are is temporary. that shit disappears 5 minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, as soon as you're like, you can have a great day and then all of a sudden be miserable. How's that possible? Like, it's because the future usually tells you that. That's where anxiety comes from, fear, depression.
Being in here,
Yeah, it's
being
not from
stuck
your
in our
past.
heads. Yep.
Depression is not the past. It's like, oh, because if I told you like, oh, miserable, oh, did you know I'm from the future, Megan? You're actually going to be a millionaire, and like everyone loves you, and like you're going to go, oh, oh, fuck that guy.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
let's
right?
do
All of
it.
a sudden, all of that disappears. So it's not about
Hmm.
your past. It's about your future, who you're going to be, what you're trying to be, and all that stuff. And I always heavily emphasize that because that's a big perspective shift for a lot of people. You know, people that are miserable where they're at. It's like, dude, that's temporary, or at least it should be. You're the one keeping yourself there. And
Yeah,
people
it
that are
can be.
depressed, people that are depressed and this, I'm depressed. All right, let's test this out because it's all about accountability. What do you do to make yourself out of depression? Like, what are you doing proactively? Like, what are you doing? Like, write down every day what you did. And I bet you it's going to look like crap. I ate like shit, watched TV, this, that. All those were under your control. But you want to blame some other shit.
Hmm.
But what pisses me off is that it's not even their fault. Doctors are telling them, oh, Megan, do you know why you're depressed? Oh, you have depression. And it's like,
It's
oh,
an identity.
again, right. It goes back
It's
to
all
that again.
identity. Hmm.
Yeah. And you get fixated in that thing. And you're just like, and what's even worse with
This
that,
is who I am now.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Hmm.
I just told you it's depression. How do you fight that? Pills? How do you, there's no fighting. I don't know what you're saying the cause is depression. And that's all I can do. Why am I
Exactly.
so anxious? Oh, Megan, you have anxiety. What? So that happy dude over there, why is he so happy? Oh, dude, he's got happiness. Like, people get weirded out when I say that. They're like, yeah, they don't. I'm like, it's the same thing. You're
Hmm.
depressed. Depression is saying you're angry because of your anger. Like, doesn't make any sense, but you get stuck in it.
Exactly. We're not really taught in school, and this is something that I've really been exploring also, is we're not taught about our emotions. We're not
Yeah.
taught about our body in general.
No.
Sure, health class, sixth, seventh grade, we touched on puberty and all of that. We found out
Yeah.
how babies were made. We held the babies for a little bit. A semester over, done. Okay, you've learned the body at seventh grade. Like what? Like the
Yeah.
body is a forever thing to learn. The brain. Why do we not know a lot about our thoughts, our conscious, our
Oh.
unconscious, our subconscious?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Right.
like these are the things, and I don't, and of course it comes back to, in the house, how we grew up in the home and how our
Yeah.
emotions were handled then. But I think that as people, we just get told, like
Yeah.
we look for someone to tell us what to do. We look for someone to be like, hey, go do this, instead of thinking for ourselves and going and you know um looking it up for ourselves. And in doing that, like, we're not thinking for ourselves. We're letting other people tell us how to be in that sense. So that's something
Right.
that, like, I've really been focusing on, because I feel like we have to go to health professionals to be telling us about ourselves. Like, why do we
Yeah.
have to turn towards professionals to, why do we have to go to a secondary school, third, and so on, to be able to find out more about ourselves? I feel like this stuff should be taught to us, in high
Yeah.
school, at a time when we are vulnerable and experiencing all of these different emotions and stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So true.
it should be a part of the curriculum. So, you know, um, fitness. for anyone, you know, it's fueling the body in a way that is going to get your body to function at its highest.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on now is looking like when I talk to my clients
Yeah.
and they come to me, they are where I once was. You know, maybe
Mm.
not in the full spectrum, but they have
Yeah.
their own pain and suffering that they have going on. They have an identity attached to them about,
Yeah.
you know, why they are how they are, and they need help
Yeah.
stepping into who they want to be.
Yeah.
And fitness, for me, I believe it's a catalyst for life. It you gotta show up, you know,
Mhm.
to make it
Yeah.
happen. You gotta put
Yeah.
in the reps to make it happen.
Mhm.
It's not just gonna happen. You gotta
Yeah.
do a lot of mind control.
All
You
right.
you gotta
And
tell
yeah.
yourself that when you don't want to do something to go do it.
Uh-huh.
It to me is 80% mindset. It's 80%
Yeah.
mental
Yeah. Oh,
and
definitely. Definitely.
20% physical. You know,
Right.
so if we're building our mental strength, you know, you take someone who just, you know, is constantly in their head and you're like, "Listen, go do this. Just get
Yeah.
moving." Movement
Yeah.
is medicine, you know?
Yeah.
It's it's a form and a way for us to be able to change those emotional, spiritual,
Yeah.
mental, physical states that we get in.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah, I
it's all
know.
about too.
Yeah, I
Being
know in
able
my
to
case.
yeah.
Yeah, I know in my case, like when I have my startups, my businesses and stuff, and I obviously you get your freaking stressful moments. And one of the things I like about fitness, it gives me that sense of progress. Like
Mhm.
when I feel like shit, all of a sudden I start working out, and I'm like, well, at least I feel myself, my progress internally, something I can control, something I can see, and it makes me feel better. And like like what Megan is saying, like it's very connected, the mind and the body. There's some people that considers the body basically just a sense of your subconscious, and
Mhm.
it's so heavily like connected. It's to the point everyone knows this, the placebo effect. Basically you're like curing yourself with your mind, but we look at it and just goes like, oh, that's cool. Like, did you hear what I just said? You're curing yourself with your mind, man. And there's so many studies that showed how they cured, like real, like from cancer to this one study about AIDS. There were so many things. There was one study where this person had multiple personalities, and one was allergic to orange juice and one wasn't. Actually showed hives. That's insane. That's just from the brain just going boop. It wasn't the body, it wasn't the orange juice, it was just the mind telling the brain, telling the body that. And that's where it all kind of comes from. So it's like if you don't take care of your body, your mind gets affected. If you don't take care of your mind, your body gets affected. But it mostly comes from your mind.
Mm,
Because no matter what, for you to fix the body to fix the mind, it takes that mindset to start. you know,
exactly.
until you start, it's like, well, nothing happens. So to me, it's like it always starts with your mindset, but it's that decision. Once you tell yourself, all right, I'm gonna, and it's not freaking do a marathon tomorrow. You don't do a marathon with
Yeah.
Megan when you sign up with her. She knows you enough. She knows you enough, and that's she probably asked you 20,000 questions just to get to know where you're at, who you are, and all that stuff. Because they work
Exactly.
together. If she doesn't work on your mind, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna come back. Like you're gonna go, that
Well, you're
sucked.
not going to get that lifestyle change that you want. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
you're not
right,
and that's where the transformation is. Like are you doing this as like a temporary thing because we can do that?
right,
Or is
right,
this something that you want for life? And majority of people want it for life, you know,
right.
but they don't understand that, you know, I made a post today too about if you want
Yeah.
something you've never had, that quote, if you want something
Hmm.
you've never had, you have to do something you've never done.
Yeah.
And that means that like when you don't feel like doing something because it's uncomfortable or it's hard, like the sooner
Mm,
we can accept that it's not going to be easy, the
yeah,
easier it becomes.
yeah, yeah.
And the
It's
more
that day one. It's that whole
exactly
start day one. People are
it
not
is,
overwhelmed. People get so overwhelmed with how much they have to do and how much they have to change, but actually, they just know where to start.
it's
Once you know
simple.
where to start,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, and then here, and then here. Oh,
Small action steps,
that's right.
small, small steps
Right.
every day
Any kind of
add up
progress.
to big victories. And
Right.
it's not, mental health, physical health, all of that health in general is not
Just health.
instant. It's not instant, right?
Yeah,
We're not going to get any instant gratification from it. Where
that's
you're going
right.
to notice your health improving or regressing is 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days
Right.
from now, a
That's right.
year, 2 years, 3 years. And
Right.
that's when you look back. And if you were progressing that whole time, you're going to be a completely different person
Hmm.
than when you started. It's going to happen. The thing is
That's
just
right.
being consistent with it. And
That's right.
that's the same thing with when we want to make a change for our life, is starting from that day one
Yeah.
and climbing up that hill slowly
Right.
every single day, just trying to be better. And part of that journey is falling back,
Yeah. Yeah.
falling back.
It's the
Like,
only way you learn. It's the only way
exactly.
to learn. I tell
Yeah.
people if you can't fail, then it's impossible to learn. You know everything.
My favorite quote is, well, another quote. I'm a quote person. Success stems from, where do we get success from? And that's good judgment. And then where do you get good judgment from? That's experience. Well, where do you get experience from? Bad judgment. And that's your circle.
Keeps on
And it
going.
continues and it
Yeah,
continues
yeah,
on. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
And people have to understand this too. Success, happiness, depression, anxiety, all these things, all temporary.
Hmm.
Success is not permanent. That's like freaking Megan going, "Oh yeah, I'm permanently freaking in shape forever now without having to do anything else." It's
Never.
impossible. Even businesses, Facebook. Do you know how much Facebook have to change every freaking time to stay at the top? If they fall asleep just for a freaking minute, they're out. Like out. They'll be the next America Online.
Hmm.
Do people even know what America Online is
I don't even
anymore?
know. For a second, I was
You
like,
don't
wow,
know
we
either.
just brought it
That
back.
they were huge. They
Yep.
were huge.
Yep.
So, and all because they fell asleep. They didn't catch on. They didn't have a mission. That's why it's
Growth is
very important to have a
constant.
mission.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, we're already over that hour that we wanted to
I
do
know.
here. Yeah,
We just
but
chat.
I want you to kind of, I want to get out exactly like, is there anything else that you kind of want to make sure that, anyone that's watching, listening in, what would you like them to know or learn at least?
If I can reflect back on like my whole everything
Hmm.
and give someone the greatest advice, it would be to not question life. To Because if we're questioning life, we stop living.
I like it.
And we don't have time as it is. We're living our days like we have all of this time, and we're not really
Yeah,
living. We're actually
yeah,
dying
yeah, every day.
before we've even begun anything. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and once you realize that, like, tomorrow isn't guaranteed at all.
right,
Like, anything can happen.
right.
Even after we get off this phone call, who knows what can happen? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and you don't know.
It
That's what
makes
makes life
you.
awesome.
That's exactly it. Start living, because you know that you don't have as much time as we think we do. Nothing in life is guaranteed. And I
Mhm.
think the sooner that we can accept that,
Yeah,
the more eager we'll be And the more motivation that in itself you will have to
Yeah.
go out there and do the things that will set your heart on fire, to
Yeah.
heal ourselves. Because if we don't heal ourselves, future generations are going to be feeling this too. It starts with
Yep.
us. All change starts here. There is
Yeah.
no way we can create external change unless we change within ourselves.
Right.
And it's hard. It's not easy. It's tough. It's a constant work, but it's possible. I am not magic, and
Right.
other people that have gotten out of their heads and started creating a life for themselves, they're not
Yeah.
magic either. They just
Yeah.
did what no one else wanted to do, and that's the hard work.
Yeah.
So, get out there and just take
It's
action. Stop thinking
yeah.
and just start. That's what it is.
Yeah. Boom. Start day one. Boom. And it's funny, and the way I tell people is like, stop asking, actually I said it on that quick video, it's not about what is the meaning of life. That's not the question. It's what makes your life more meaningful. And
Exactly.
when you can figure that out, then that's where life begins, because you're supposed to have the bad stuff, or else it's not life. It's
Hmm.
it's just not. It's like playing a video game that you win on one shot. Like everything went your way. Are you gonna play it again? Was that fun? Or is it fun when you keep dying and you can't get to the next level for a freaking year? Like, and then you keep playing and playing because of the challenge, because of the obstacles, because all those things is what makes your life interesting. The reason you're listening to Meaghan right now is because of her interesting life. She went from this to this, and bad childhood, alcoholic dad on the floor. Like, dude, this is nuts. And look, now she's just an awesome fitness instructor that's a mom herself now. But Meaghan, thank you so much for taking the time to like talk with us. And I'm so happy with your transformation, because even from their last talk, you were already progressing, but now you've really made a huge jump, because I saw it too. I saw the major the change, the transformation. I mean, you were in mid. In fact, we're still in that mid transformation now. But it's just that you feel that it's a forever transformation.
I'm not
Because
even.
you're not at
I'm
the
not even.
place,
No, there is no destination. Yeah, there
right?
is no.
It's
I mean,
it's
like
that purpose.
exactly. There
Keeps
is.
going.
We are never exactly where we want to be, because we are. It's continuous. That growth is
Right.
constant, and I
That's
am
right.
literally just getting started. Like,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm.
Dude, awesome stuff. Thank you. And we're gonna have to do another catch up later on. But for
Yeah.
everyone that's checking it out, again, this was made possible by Start Day One. It's a nonprofit foundation. So if you can donate and to our cause, basically, we're just trying to develop this different content, and we're trying to send different speakers out at schools, different venues, rehab centers, military bases, things like that. And we're hopefully going to do something that's going to make it affordable to have mentors that can help you out with your life. And because that's true proactivity. And anyway, thank you for watching and listening. And Meaghan, thank you again. If you guys want to reach out to her and want to be coached by her, you can reach her on Instagram at Meaghan Renee Fit. So until then, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you guys around.
See you guys. Bye.